My name is Johnny Hemberger, for those of you who don't know. It is Veterans Day as of recording, 2025, November 11th, 2025. My dad's name was Alan Hemberger, and he was he entered the Army as a private first class. He wound up a sergeant. He was in the 199th Light Infantry Brigade in Vietnam from 1969 through 1970, and these are his letters home. So I think I'm going to start a series of these videos. I'm not going to read all these letters all in one sitting, but maybe one, just a few, maybe one, at least one per video, depending on how long they are. And the reason I'm doing this is honestly to understand my dad a little bit better. I will timestamp this so you could just scrub right to the letter if you want to go that far, but I just want, at least in this first video, explain why I'm doing this. It is to understand my father a bit better. He passed away in October of 2013. He suffered from a tremendous amount of PTSD, as so many veterans do. Vietnam veterans are certainly no exception to that, and I'm actually quite bamboozled. I am astonished that my father did as well as he did, suffering the PTSD that he suffered from his time in Vietnam, that he raised 5 children. The middle child, my sister, special needs. She fell in the pool when she was 2 years old. She is still quadriplegic to this day. She survived. My mom still takes care of her with a series of nurses. Me and my brothers have all helped take care of her. Anyways, my dad went through Vietnam, suffered that loss in many ways of his daughter falling in the pool and getting hurt. And he lost men in Vietnam that were under his care, and then he lost it. He didn't lose his own child, but his child is severely handicapped. He went through it, and the way he was able to still carry on a prolific career in broadcasting. Those of you in Houston, Texas, remember him, Alan Hemberger, Channel 13, ABC 13 here in Houston, KTRK, alongside Melanie Lawson, Sheriff Fryer, Slime in the Ice Machine, all that good stuff. Marvin Zindler, sorry, his name isn't Slime in the Ice Machine, Marvin Zindler. Anyways, he's prolific here in the Houston. He served a time, or he worked for a time in Hollywood Entertainment Tonight, where he went by the name Alan Arthur, covering red carpet events and Oscars and all sorts of stuff. If you search Alan Hemberger on YouTube, you can find stuff that he's uploaded underneath his YouTube channel, which is obviously now not being moderated, not being maintained. But anyways, reading these letters, he didn't talk about Vietnam hardly at all. In his words, some of the things I remember him telling me of why he didn't talk to his own family about it was to protect us from it, to protect us from the demons inside of his head. He said to me one time, "Why on earth would I want to put what's in my head in your head?" There's nothing about his experience in Vietnam, or on the battlefield especially, that he wanted to share with civvies, as he called it. And I know other veterans are probably recognizing a lot of these traits, possibly in yourselves and in other veterans. The only time I saw my dad at any sort of ease, if you will, was around other veterans, but around civvies, including his own family, we could not possibly understand what he went through. So why would he want to talk to us about that? He self-medicated, and I won't get into that too deeply here in this series. But he said, as a lot of veterans do, especially suffering PTSD, and it's legal now, I'll just say, in most states, especially medically prescribed. And he said one profound thing about that is that it didn't silence, it only brought the volume down a little bit on the demons. He said it only brought the screaming down by a little bit on the volume knob. It didn't completely erase it, it just brought it down. And I thought that was so unbelievable that someone would live their whole life and raise a family, including a hurt child, and have a prolific career, and just with this constant, what he described, screaming, these demons in his head from his experience in Vietnam. So he wouldn't talk about it with us. And even in these letters, I'll tell you right now, sorry this first video is long and drawn out, but again, there'll be timestamps. Even in these letters, I know there's one at some point in here where he says something along the lines of, a lot of you are asking why I don't share stories from the battlefield, and he's writing like he's a little bit indignant about it. And it's kind of the same thing he told me. I don't know why. He said, this isn't Hollywood, this is real life. Why would I share any of that with any of you back home? So in these letters, you'll see that, yeah, he talks about some of his experiences while he was over there, but there's a lot of just kind of personal things. He worried about things at home and trying to take care of things at home and his future plans for when he gets back and all of that. So reading these letters helps me understand my father better. If any of you watching this, if it happens to land on any of your feeds, you stumble across it, he was in the 199th Light Infantry Brigade in Vietnam, 1969 to 1970. That outfit were called the Red Catchers. As far as I understand, that outfit, the 199th, went back to World War II, I think is when the regiment began. And forgive my terminology, I am not a veteran. I appreciate everything veterans have done, especially, you know, even if a veteran has served, even veterans that served honorably in unpopular wars are heroes. So veterans who served honorably in Desert Storm, veterans who served honorably when we went back to Iraq in the early 2000s, veterans who have served in Vietnam, veterans who served honorably in unpopular wars are heroes, okay? I don't know how to explain that any further. I don't know how to make that any more clear. Vietnam veterans did not get a ticker tape parade when they got home. People who served in the Middle East did not get ticker tape parades when they came home. There's a lot of controversy around those wars, those military actions, but the ones serving, those aren't the one you take it on. And if you have a beef with what we're doing in different theaters around the world, you take it up with the government, not on the veterans. I don't know how to make that any more clear. So anyways, good thing for timestamps because I did ramble. A stream of consciousness for a bit. Let's start with my dad's first letter home. This binder, my wife, my beautiful wife, put this all together for us to have and to keep these documents safe. So a big shout out to my beautiful wife, Sarah, for doing that for me and for the family. So the first letter home, and I'll try my best to read these. My dad's handwriting isn't quite doctor bad, but he's not a calligrapher either. So this first letter is actually, he wrote on here, I'll show you a picture of it. Super Sunday, January 12th, 1969. Super Bowl. I'm just going to say it. I don't care, NFL. NFL, are you really going to flag this video if I say the word Super Bowl while I'm reading letters home from Vietnam veteran? Try it. Anyways, dear Mom and Dad, mark this day down as the second greatest sports thrill of my life. The first, of course, is the '67 Red Sox. My dad was a huge Red Sox fan, as am I. This event was the greatest thing that could have happened to the AFL. The Jets beat what many professionals called maybe the greatest football team ever put together in the NFL, and they did it going away. I am sorry that I haven't written to you sooner, but except for training, not too much has happened. I usually write my letters at what you may think are odd hours. For instance, the first two lines were written about 7:30 p.m. Sunday night. It is now 3:15 a.m. on Monday. I am sitting in the arms room guarding the weapons. I got probably 5 hours of sleep, but in the Army, anything more than that is a luxury. You get your system used to it, and you really don't need much more sleep. Now, I'd argue that. Well, anyways, I'll keep it to the letter. Sorry. On Saturday, January 4th, we arrived in New Orleans about 4:30. We were on standby into Alexandria. We did not get this plane because it was filled. However, our baggage did. So we had to catch a bus to Alexandria. We could have made it to the fort by 2 a.m. Sunday morning, but the airport in Alexandria closed down, so we had to wait until the morning to get our bags. We spent the night in a motel. We finally arrived on post about 2 p.m., but we had called ahead so we weren't counted late. Yesterday, I went over to the service club about 3 hours early to get a seat for the Super Bowl. An hour before game time, the place was packed, and there I was sitting front row center. Not much more to say. Everyone should be getting up at 3:30 a.m., so I'll be replaced soon, I hope. Say hello to all for me. Tell Dick and Mary Lou that I will write them when I have a chance, probably this week. Love, Audi. A-U-D-I-E. That's what he went by back then, I suppose. That's something I learned in these letters, is his nickname was Audi. Let's read at least one more here in this initial video. This is from January 15th, 1969. What was the first letter? January 12th. So this is 3 days later that he wrote this letter. Here's a picture of it right there. Dear Mom and Dad, forgot too many things in the first letter. First of all, say happy birthday to Bill for me. Bill, by the way, my Uncle Bill is the only surviving brother. My dad, Alan, died in 2013. And my Uncle Dick, his oldest brother, died recently in the last year. And Uncle Bill is still alive, thank God. Forgot too many things in the first letter. First of all, say happy birthday to Bill for me. I really should have sent a card, but the only time I've had any free time was last Sunday, and the PX was closed anyway. Hope he understands. I'm guessing that PX, maybe I can zoom in on this word, is post office. I assume that's what it means, like the post office on base. Continuing. Have you run across my keys yet? If so, I hope you will send them to me as soon as possible, along with the keys. Along with the keys, can you send my green pants? Green Sacha? Oh, green socks and yellow shirt. I think you forgot the R in shirt here. Anyways, also a sweater to go with it and my wool shirt. I was contemplating having you send me the Swinger. I'm guessing that's a sewing machine. But I think it would take up too much room in my locker. So I may try to pick up a small Kodak Instamate at the post office. Maybe the PX. Maybe the PX means like general store or convenience store on base. The Swinger is probably a camera now that I'm putting context together. We'll see. I thought the Swinger was never mind. The weather here is really funny. We have been fortunate in the fact that we haven't had much rain at all. It is usually quite cold when we are, I can't see that. When we are, whatever, in the morning. But if the sky is clear, it will warm up anywhere from 20 to 40 degrees in a day. That's Fahrenheit. For instance, in the morning, we fall out wearing long johns, gloves, and and a liner in the field jacket. By lunchtime, everything is removed. I'll edit these gaps because I'm trying to read the writing here. Everything is removed until about 4 p.m. with just our fatigues on. I can't read some of these words here. The sun is very warm. It really seems funny to me to have such a warm sun in the middle of January. I'm not complaining. Training continues to progress. These past 2 weeks we have been qualifying with the M16 rifle and the M60 machine gun. Spending most of our time on the range gives us the full benefit of the sun. Next week, we go on bivouac for 5 days, so that should be fun, 2 exclamation points. I may be getting a pass this weekend, so I may pick up a few cans of Sterno to keep warm. As for Dad planning a trip around my schedule, it will be, I can't read this. As for Dad planning a trip around my schedule, it will be nearly impossible, I suppose is what he tried to write. I probably won't know for sure whether I will have a pass this weekend until Friday night or Saturday morning. Hard to tell. Enough for now. See you all soon in 6 weeks. Say hello to all. Audi. Let's read one more right here. January 25th, 1969, so 10 days after the first letter. What's funny to me as I read this is he's at boot camp. He's getting trained in the Army at this point, and he was worried, I really should have written to my brother earlier. I should have sent a card. Like, man, you were at boot camp. I think we'll let it slide. Anyways, January 25th, 1969. This is the last letter I'll read for this video. Already going on long here. Dear folks, again I am writing you while on weapons guard. The hour is not so bad. It's 11:30 p.m. We just came back from a week on bivouac. That explains the 10 days. Difference between letters? The weather was pretty good. It rained one night, but that was the only hard part. That was the only bad part. The temperature for the first 4 days was really delightful. The afternoon highs were in the 70s with a big sun. However, with the warm weather comes the mosquitoes. I do remember my dad talking a lot about mosquitoes, especially when he was in Vietnam. Imagine fighting off mosquitoes in the middle of January. It got quite cool. High 20s at night the last 2 days and 40s during the day. But no matter how cool the air is, the sun is always warm. Last Saturday, we got a 24-hour pass. It lasted from 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. So I guess 4 p.m. Saturday to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Ernie Jordan and I went down to Lake Charles that night, expecting to indulge in a little recreation, he has in quotes. We were so tired by the time we arrived that we went to a hotel and just slept. 8 hours of beautiful, uninterrupted sleep. We got up Sunday and walked around the town. It was very relaxing for a change. Next weekend, February 1st, the CO is giving out a few passes starting Friday night. He's giving them to the best troops. Since Ernie and I are the best, underlined, we'll go back to Lake Charles. Only 4 weeks left till I'll be home for a while before going on my trip to the land of water buffalo and rice paddies. Ernie and I have been thinking about leaving a few days early for Oakland and spending some time with his relatives in Las Vegas. If I did that, I would be home for about 14 days out of my 21-day leave. Must go now. No more room. Received my keys. Love, Alan. You know what? I'm going to read one more because this one is where he arrives in Vietnam. So this is his first time getting to Vietnam. This is early on in his tour. March 21st, 1969. The date written this time in the more traditional non-North American 21 Mar 69. So 21 March 1969. Hi gang. Well, the kid has arrived here in South Vietnam safe and sound. The plane went from Oakland to Anchorage, Alaska to Okina, Japan, and then to Bin Hoa. Please forgive my pronunciation, especially of these Vietnamese names. Bienhoa. We are in Bin Hoa for about 2 weeks for training and orientation. Needless to say, it is very hot and humid here. Remember, this is March 1969 in South Vietnam. Between noon and 3 in the afternoon, it gets up around the low 100s. Since we now are doing details until Sunday, we really sweat hard! Exclamation point. This country is really something. These Vietnamese women are let me see how he wrote this. 3 Vietnamese women can outwork 5 of our men! Exclamation point. But when 5 p.m. comes, they quit. It's impossible to get them to work any longer. Since I haven't been able to see much of the country, I can't really tell you much about it. Now it seems just as if we are in the States at some godforsaken army base. Parts of Newark look worse. You won't be able to write back to me for a while because we haven't got our permanent addresses yet. I am in the 199th Support Brigade, where I will... I am in the 199th Support Brigade. When I get to my unit within the 199th, I will let you know. I'm sorry this is so short, but time is now limited. Ernie is still with me. Say hello to everyone for me. Love, Audi. All right, one more, because it's so short. One more, and then we'll really wrap it up here. Hope that my camera's still recording. March 28th, 1969. Dear people, it's two-sided. Dear people, how is it back in the world? I haven't seen any more of the country since I last wrote because I've been here in Long Biem, Tong Biem, still Bin Hoa, I guess, training since we arrived in country. It remains hot and humid. During the day, it is very hot, but at night, it is very comfortable. In case you're wondering about the time difference, it's now 12:30 p.m. on Friday, and it's 11:30 p.m. on Thursday night where you are. We are 13 hours ahead of you. And now, ... here's Johnny. Oh, I guess that's when Johnny Carson was on. Anyways, this afternoon, we are going to see the general. He's probably going to tell us, go get him. The brigade I'm in, the 199th, is currently around Saigon. It's their job to see that Saigon is not overrun. I don't know what this is. Most of the fighting here is done by divisions. They go out after the NVA or VC, where the communists, are in strong or large groups. The 199th is concerned with smaller groups of VC, usually not more than 10 men. The greatest danger for us are the booby traps. Since I haven't been out in the field yet, I really can't say how bad it will be. My address. It's not redacted on here, but there's no reason to give it out other than care of Charlie Company, 5th Battalion, 12th Infantry, 199th Infantry Brigade. So, yeah, care of C, 5th BN, 12th Infantry, 199th Infantry BDE. So I imagine that is Charlie Company, 5th Battalion, 12th Infantry, 199th Infantry Battalion. That's what I'm guessing. Maybe some of y'all, maybe some Vietnam veterans can shed some light on that. Write soon. Love, Audi. P.S. Give my address to other people. That's where we're going to end it today. I hope that my phone is still recording. Until next time, we will pick it up here in April 1st, 1969. The paper has changed, but we'll get into that. He finally arrived at his unit in the boonies. So, until next time, thank you for bearing with me. The next videos will be more succinct and to the point of just getting to the letters. But in this first video, I just kind of wanted to let you know where my head's at. So until next time, take care.